Okay, good morning, everybody. It's Rob. It's good to see you again. I have been too busy working and not doing much videoing lately. But this morning, today is February 2nd for the record, Friday, and I am about 4.5, 5 hours south of where I live, way down in southwest Texas. Still not, I could still drive another 4 hours west to get to El Paso from here. Maybe a little further than that. I've never done the drive, so I don't know. I'm not very far from the Mexican border, to be very honest. It is, as I understand it, maybe an hour south of here. A little further south would put me right on the Rio Grande. But the purpose of this video is that since I'm here at this church camp that I come do some work at once in a while, it's kind of like being out camping, and we're going to talk about expedient toilets in this video. It's a trick I learned, or at least an adaptation of a trick I learned doing river trips many years ago. I'll tell you about that here in a second. But I say it's like camping. It's a little bit better than camping. I've got I guess you could call it a concrete tent with a metal roof, and it's pretty comfortable. There's a screen on the windows to keep the bugs out, except there aren't any bugs this time of year. But all the wind comes through, and even though it's winter time, it's not as bad as it is in some parts of the world. In fact, it's pretty good camping weather right now, to be honest. It's getting up in the mid to high 60s in the days, and the nights are down in the mid 40s or so. So pretty comfortable. But I'm set up. I'll show you my tent here, and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. You can see we're set up pretty well here. Very comfortable, good views. You can see, in fact, looking right down there is the Pecos River. The Pecos River, if you don't know, starts in central New Mexico, kind of north central New Mexico. I have been up at the headwaters of the Pecos, up in the Pecos Wilderness, and at the place where you can step across it. Now, it gets pretty big between here and there, but then it starts getting smaller by the time it gets down to here, because there's not a lot of water getting added to it and mostly taken out of it. I've got some cardboard over the windows to try and keep some of the wind out. Set up here, I guess that's my kitchen right there. All good to go, as Steve would say. I got a pretty decent bed as far as camping goes too, so nothing wrong with that. The spare bed is kind of my charging station and sort of office extra desk. Back here is the bathroom, and this is what we're going to talk about right in here. One of the tricks I learned when I used to do river trips was, when we go on a big river trip, we would use what they call a groover. Now, the reason it's called a groover is because it was a plastic bucket that you would sit on to do your business. And oddly enough, on those river trips right there, every person each day took a turn doing the groover. And the idea was, you're the one that gets to do the dirty work, and that's kind of what it amounts to. And you put it, you set it up right in the open. You don't set it up where it's screened in. You set it on a pretty place so that while you're sitting there, you've got a good view of what's going on. And after the first couple of days, everybody gets used to it, and it becomes no big deal. You get over your shyness and realize nobody's looking, because nobody wants to see. And you can just kind of make the most of it that way. The reason it was called a groover is because it was a plastic bucket that we used. Now, up there on that trip, we used round ones, and one of the rafts was designated as the groover raft, and that's all it had in it was the poop buckets. And when you sit on it for a little bit, it leaves a groove in your rear end and your back of your legs. So that's why it got its name as a groover. But the way we did a groover is, because there's no flush toilets up there, and there's no toilets of any kind up there. It was backcountry, completely backcountry stuff. And what would happen is, we would take basically a plastic bag, or just a plastic trash sack, and each bucket that was actually the groover bucket. There was the one that got used every day, and then there were the storage buckets. There were about 12 or 15 of us on this one particular trip, and so, you're going to generate some waste when you got that many people, and you got to deal with it. You can't just be burying it up there on a trip like that, because after a while, that's going to become pretty unsanitary. That many people coming down the river every day and doing that kind of thing. The way it worked, in the bottom of the bucket, there were 4, 5, 6, however many plastic garbage bags, just basic kitchen bags that we used. In fact, it may have been the heavier duty trash bags on that trip. Now I don't recall. It's been a bunch of years ago. But you pull the bag out, you sit there, and when you're done, you sprinkle a little bit of bleach in it. I'll show you how it works here. What we're doing is, since I've got an actual toilet in here, that's way more comfortable than a plastic bucket, I can tell you. Now, this toilet has no water in it, which is, if you're going to do it this way, it's ideal. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this is we talk about preparedness and a lot of that kind of thing, and it's not always the austere end of the world preparedness. Sometimes it's just dealing with this. This church camp here where I'm working, we've got electricity right now, but all the water's turned off because they don't want toilets freezing and water lines freezing and all that kind of thing. So we've got actual toilets. If it came down to it, in your house you might have one too. Now, it's not going to be the best way to do it long term, but sometimes the weather's bad. Sometimes you're just going to be without water for a few days, and this is a great way to do it. So as I reach up and start my camera again, I'm not starting the camera, just turning the screen on. What we do is just this easy. Take the plastic bag and you poke it kind of down in there just a little bit like that. Let me move you over here so you can see it a little bit better. And y'all know me, I'm one of the people that doesn't mind talking about this kind of stuff. Now this toilet's, like I say, dry and clean, so it's not like I'm doing anything really yucky here. The yucky part, if you want to call it that, is when you have to pull the bag out and put it into your bucket. So I'm taking this, I'm just going to spread this bag, open it up real good so it's not in the way. And then when the seat goes down, it's ready to go. Now, it works a lot better than you may first think it is. I've got one in here. I've been here for 3 or 4 days now, and I just changed the bag out for the purpose of this video, and the bag didn't need to be changed out yet. When you do something like this, one of the tricks is you don't want to pee. You want to just do your number 2 stuff in this one as much as you can. The less liquid that you can put in here, the better off you're going to be. Now, that's going to happen sometimes, obviously. The best way to do it in a case like this right here, now on that river trip we didn't do that, but in this case, a piece of wadded up newspaper would be the best to kind of catch the liquid, but I forgot to bring newspaper, so these gas station little towels that they have where you wash your windows work good enough. Wad a couple of those up kind of loose like that, tuck those kind of down in the bottom there, and they are good to go. They will hold the liquid, they will keep it from being sloshy, whatever else, and you'll get some evaporation too. Now, I've got a piece of cardboard. The toilet seat and all like that works fairly well, but to mitigate smell and to keep bugs out, if there were any bugs this time of year, then what I've done here is I've got this piece of cardboard that lays there, and then the seat will go over that, and then the lid over that, and then it holds it down pretty good. Now, like I say, 4 or 5 days, I haven't smelled this yet. The only time I got any odor out of this, other than when you're using it, of course, was when I moved the used bag into the bucket a while ago. And even then, it wasn't the horrible sick smell like you might think. I mostly smell bleach. And the reason you smell bleach is because each time after you do it, and if it's just a single person, I don't even think you really have to do it each time, because I smell bleach strong enough that made me think I was probably using too much bleach. But when you're done, basically, just a cap full of bleach and just kind of sprinkle it around over everything, and then cap it off, and you're ready to go. Then when you get to the point that it's done, you take it out, you just lift the bag out carefully, just from the edges right there like that. You don't have to touch anything bad. You just kind of squeeze a little bit of the air out of it, bring it up closed, tie it, seal it, whatever you need to do, and then into your bucket it goes until you can take it somewhere like I'm going to do and dispose of it properly. Now, if you had to, you could take the bag out somewhere and bury it a foot or so deep, cover it up with dirt, rocks, that kind of stuff, and it'd be fine and good to go. But I've got places I can dump it, so that's what I'm going to do. And it's really just that simple. You know, you wait until I have seen people, I used to own a motel, and I saw people a couple of times when the water was off, or if they clogged the toilet, they just keep using it right on up to the top and it becomes nasty. Don't do that. Don't do that. Get you a set of bags, what do you call a set of bags? You call it a box of bags, a roll of bags, and you're good to go. And then, of course, after you get done, it's a pretty good idea to go wash your hands, and so we're set up for that over here, too. Like I say, since there's no water, I brought my own. Another little tip on water usage. When you use out of something like this or anything else, you don't have to turn the water on full blast to wash your hands. You can turn it to just a trickle, and that'll do the job right there. You can wash your hands. You can make a quart of water go a long ways for washing your hands and doing that kind of thing. Anyway, that's the ticket. Just something I wanted to pass along and share with you. So I hope you got something good out of that. I mean, it's good to know. If I adjust my camera here, being a one-man cameraman can be kind of tricky sometimes. If you got questions about this, of course, ask me in the comments and I'll answer them. If we even need to do a follow-up video on it, we can. This is one of the topics that gets overlooked a lot, or at least not looked at hard enough. People don't like talking about that kind of stuff, and so it's a little bit uncomfortable. Propane Charlie will get a kick out of this, no doubt. I've done another video on pooping in the woods that he got plenty of enjoyment out of. You're welcome. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to share this with you. I hope it was something that was helpful to you, and yeah, be safe, be sanitary, and stay prepared, because just in case, just in case.